You shut the fudge up.
And I'm frozen.
Uh-oh.
Good. They made movies about that.
Let it go. Good morning. Welcome in.
Good
We
morning,
have
NASDAQ.
Kyle. We have Dom. We have Huddy on the edge of the screen over there. Finally got a real camera. Welcome into Good Morning NASDAQ. It is the 4th day here in October 2023, rounding out the year, heading into the fall. We got hunting, we got football, we got leaves changing. I don't know if that happens in San Diego, but it's a wonderful time of year.
Not like the East Coast, but it does.
Yeah, it doesn't actually like happen.
right. It's not like on Instagram where you see all like a street of all trees, and they're all magically falling down yellow.
Hey, it's the magical part of the Midwest right now,
Right.
And it's the last, good part before the magical snow starts dumping.
Lovely.
But all right, people are filtering in. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button on your way in, and if you're not, subscribe to the channel. We do this 5 times a week for free. And if you didn't know, if you end up liking this content, you want to head on over to our room, clovertrading.io. We have a 7-day trial. You can get on in there for $7, get access to webinars, video lessons, watch lists, trade alerts, chat room, all the goodies. So keep that in mind as you fall in love with us today. Today is free Wednesday. So normally Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, me and Huddy just go over the gappers. We talk about what's moving, take a temperature of the market, try to prep everyone with all the tickers that are moving in small cap land. On Wednesdays, we like to give out a little more, talk through our watch list, maybe specific trade plans, because I know a lot of you get upset with me when I bring up a gapper and I'm like, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to short it. And you're like, well, what are you going to do with it? I'm like, well, I'm not going to do anything with it. And you're like, well, that's not entertaining. But that's what trading is. Trading's not all about entertainment. It's about trying to make money where we have edges. So, all right, that like button, I'd like to see that get up to 30 before Kyle starts his watch list. We got Joseph in the chat. Tyler, what up, Dawson? Mark, happy days. Ramon. William Gregory, good morning, champs. What is going on, guys? It is a beautiful morning. All right.
Morning.
I'm going to anticipate that the like button is on. It's just lagging, and it's almost to 30. But make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button. Helps management, helps keep the show free, helps us feel incentivized to keep popping on every morning at 8:45 a.m. Without further ado, Mr. Williams, what do we got today?
All righty. Let me remind myself. This is why you make a watch list, everybody, because you forget what's on it.
Posted every night. Kyle posts every single night in the Clover chat. So you know exactly what he's looking for. You can make your plans.
It's almost like a what's the word? Like a
routine.
Yeah, like a dangerous, deadly routine where now I can't stop. I'm like, watch list. Like, make a watch list.
Yeah, I've been on top of it recently too. There's just not that much for Dominic these days.
Yeah,
it's hard to make watch lists when everyone wants your watch list, and you're like, I'm not going to trade tomorrow because I don't see anything.
Right.
But Kyle's going to trade something today.
Yeah, so this FEMY was a really great short yesterday, especially overnight how I took it. I had a live webinar with the 4-leaf clovers yesterday, and it was really awesome. Just we caught that offering and then morning washout on camera, so that was really cool. It was really good. I ended up making 17 grand there. Unfortunately, it did go. I mean, I assumed it was going to go lower no matter what. I just didn't really care to swing it another night. But here we are now in sub 2 range, and that's great and all dandy. I don't really care to re-short. I mean, let me just look real quick what on earth they're trying to charge me for Femi, because it's probably gonna be expensive. Is it cheap? Is that cheap now? Looks like it's cheap now, which is interesting because they used to be super expensive like the 2 days prior. But anyways, either way, I really don't care to re-short. The meat of the move, the easy part of the move that I have taken is over for me. So just going to watch that there. The play that I really like today is ICU. ICU is up from what's up?
Nothing.
Oh, ICU.
I said ICUP.
ICUP. ICU up from 20 cents now into the 60s. We are, as what Huddy would call, gapping inside the range, considering it's gapping up, but not over yesterday's highs. I really like this one. I wish it was a bit more extended. 70 or 80 plus would have been really, really good. But nonetheless, I still think, being up from 20 cents, a sell off to 50 cents or lower is absolutely in the cards today. So I am going to try to get short or look to get short that today. FNGR, quite the
Do you
ugly...
want to say anything more about ICU? You were saying yesterday in the chat, they don't have the most cash on hand.
Yeah,
not the best company.
I looked at their income statement or their balance sheet, I should say, and they have. I literally made more money yesterday than they have in their bank account. So they are literally in the ICU of bank accounts. They're on life support. Although I don't know how much dilution they have or if they can even offer. I don't remember the last time I've seen it offering sub $1 because they want to stay compliant, but you never know. Looking at the daily chart, it looks dilutive just because it's got nothing but crushed. So I mean, given all those things, just keeps me convicted, not too convicted, but just advantageous that this is not going to run very long. It's not going to have this insane run from how bad of a shape it's in. Especially with yesterday being a blow off volume, and we traded 170 million shares yesterday. Like to go higher, we'd probably have to trade more than that. And I just don't necessarily see that happening, especially in this current environment. So yeah, that's what we're looking at there. FNGR, huge middle finger of a red day yesterday. A short report came out, which is good and bad in terms of like they're exposing their shenanigans, their games, their promotion scamminess. But on the flip side, if a lot of short sellers just piled in because of the short report, now you're in a situation where it could squeeze back, could bounce back. But nonetheless, I have gotten short simply because they have a boatload of dilution either already happening or on the way to happen. So I do see that chopping around, if not fading, in the next couple of days, 2 weeks. Other than that, that's pretty much my main watches. I got ALXO, AVTX, VFS, BNOX, just charts up on my screen, but nothing I'm actually planning on trading with them. So.
Very nice. Someone asked a question while you were talking. How do you check the borrow rates like that? They normally have to call in or chat to get them. Are you talking about like borrow rate, just like?
Yeah, borrow rate, like the borrow fee.
Yeah, so that's usually just on the use DOS, right? It's just in a little window that you can quickly type in how many shares you want and what it's going to cost you.
Yep, exactly. If they're referring to the borrow interest rate, I believe there's websites. I know TWS, which is Interactive Brokers like software that you can use to trade. I don't even use Interactive Brokers anymore, but I've solely kept an account open to keep TWS because they will show you the overnight interest rates on stocks that you want. So yeah, I'm able to see all the rates right now. Like currently right now, I think this was as of last night going into today. I don't know what it's going to be at the end of the day today, but currently it's at 660% for FEMY. So quite pricey. It was only in the 400s on Monday going into Tuesday. So it is, it's still pretty pricey to hold this thing overnight.
All right. Let me look at my watch list real quick. I don't have too much on watch. I like the ICU plan. I feel like we've seen that pattern play out a lot more. I feel like in the last few years, like when we all kind of watched trading tickers the first time, it was always overextended gap down. It rarely were we ever shorting the day of like a gap up that went red that day. And we were waiting most of the time for the red move to actually short, not shorting the strength using previous day's highs. But I feel like this year especially, we've seen a lot more of where I think all three of you guys and Kellogg would call it like overextended gap ups, where they close really weak off their highs, gap up because there's so much range between the highs and where they closed, and actually adding, and you guys probably prefer that over an overextended gap down just because you're getting better averages, probably better risk reward, and you're capturing a bigger percentage of the move because you have like maybe 10 or 15% above red green, and then below previous close, you still got your 10 to 15% there. So, yeah, I really like that, especially because it gives you're risking off the level that matters most. Overextended gap down, you don't really know for a fact if red green's going to hold as risk because you have so much higher resistance from the previous day that could still hold and it could still fail. So I really like that. Not sure if I will attack it, but makes a ton of sense to me nonetheless. What was I watching? Man, I forgot I don't have that much. Took a nice trade on NVOS yesterday. This is kind of one that has been in play for what feels like forever, since what is 8 August. Kind of coming back from the dead here from the 20 cents. Actually, in after hours, made it all the way towards 50 cents on this gap up day. Mini multi-day breakout here. I took it in the 32, sold it right into the highs of this level just because there's so much overhead behind it. Just going to keep this one on watch. If it does build its way back towards the mid to high 40s and brushes up against this multi-week, potentially multi-month resistance. So not one that I'm going to do anything with today. Happy I chose to sell strength yesterday. It was a pretty strong move. And not get caught up in the big picture idea just because we are so far away from those levels. But one that I am going to continue to watch, BNOX. We talked about this, I believe, yesterday morning, Huddy, about, oh, wait, Kellogg's coming in. About a billionaire investor, Stephen Cohen, where in the past it has definitely been a pretty phenomenal catalyst. But the main thing for me is just waiting for the chart to actually set up the levels that matter. Is obviously the highs here, the 640 area, where it would be a multi-day breakout. Yesterday's highs of 530 is kind of a lower high to that level. But at this moment in time, I'm not just going to buy because of a catalyst. I'm going to wait for the chart to set up. So just going to continue to let it develop, set higher lows, find a base. And going forward, just going to continue to watch the price action until it aligns in an area a lot closer to where I think it can actually break out and go. So no rush for me there. SLNO, I'm still just kind of watching, hoping it fades off because it's so liquid, but I still can't shake this feeling that on this giant volume, good news day into the $30 area, that if anyone is just kind of patiently waiting for this to pull back sub 20 and fade off, it's just not happening. The volume is so light that it wouldn't take a lot of shorts to kind of get this back through 30s and then pushing again. Not a super high conviction, but I'm just going to continue to watch it as it's holding up just short of the $30 area. And if it does, it's not one I'm just going to sit in because there's so much room from where it came from. Any bad news, any dilution, anything overnight scary is going to be a giant loss. So I'd wait for more conviction, more volume on a day around 30 and try to take it for a day trade. I think that's all I have. I don't really have anything I'd watch for this morning right out of the gate. Just kind of sitting back. What's today? Wednesday. Sitting back waiting for stuff to develop. I'm not going to try to bounce Femi. I know this kind of looks pretty ideal for a potential first green day coming. I wouldn't necessarily be interested today just because we're gapping down 23%. But I don't know if Kyle mentioned they did an offering yesterday right before the open. And it was pretty much bounceless, and it's gapping down again 20% and pretty much bounceless. So I try to avoid first green days when the first red days happen because of dilution, because then you're potentially fighting even more of an uphill battle. And even though I've seen plenty of them that have done offerings actually have significant bounces, it's not something I'm willing to bet on. So I'll probably let this one go, no matter how good it potentially looks and fades. All right, Huddy or Jack, who wants to go next?
Jack, you want to take it?
Sure. Yeah, hope everyone's having a good morning. Just a little bit late here myself. Had a few things that I was doing downstairs, but now I'm here, so I'm gonna go through my watch list. Really the main play I have is ICU today for a first red day. It's the most penny stock frameworking like criteria that I think is met today in terms of daily chart, volume, price action, all the above. I did have a small short overnight, around 60 cents because of the big top wick and because that usually leads to gap downs, especially because there's a huge 40 to 60 cent gap to fill. So I ended up taking a short overnight, and it did have a decent gap up and morning push, so ended up cutting losses on that about at 64.7 or so for a very small loss, but I did end up shorting it in my different account at 68. Just kind of thinking 70 should provide some resistance and have a nice pull into the open, which it did. So got short at 68 and then ended up covering that at 60. So between both the trades, I netted about 3 cents since I lost 5 cents on the overnight short, and then I just made 8 cents there on the morning fade. So all in all, small green on it for now. Gonna watch it into the open. I'm kind of hoping that it holds around this 60-cent area, or at least red to green, which is 59, 58, and we get some type of morning push back up into 65. Maybe even back into the 70 area. The stock's very whipsaw. It's very up and down just from trading it yesterday. It can move 10 cents in seconds. So just preparing myself to not be emotional here at the open with wanting it to go in one specific direction, and as well as it just pulled back 8 cents without a bounce. So that's why I'm thinking that we get some type of 3, 4, 5, maybe 10-cent pop, where I'd like to take a short in resistance again, and then use 70, 72, 75, 80 cents, all resistance levels that potentially could be risk. So that's really the main thing that I'm watching. I also have FRLN up on my screen. Last time it ran, it had a big upwick to the upside, 850 high with 550 close, which is about $3 a share of fade. And this is the type of open that is interesting for a spike, in my opinion, because of how it's opening sideways and because of the history of it spiking at market open. So going to be watching this one as well for some type of dip and rip into the mid sixes. Not really something that's really my pattern, but I know from trading it, it's not really a short pattern. So maybe possibly it's a long pattern. So I'm just going to watch it, maybe, buy a few thousand shares, try to give the thought process and pattern a go, and see if you can get a nice little, dollar and a half share spike, into the resistance, and then watch it with no real rush or probably even plans to short it, considering, it really spikes up a lot based on the history and based on the sideways open, which doesn't call for a short in my setup at all. So gonna watch it, that one, and that's all I really got. I mean, NVOS was a nice move into the close, kind of thinking that a lot of the shorts that were in it, thinking that news was fake, already got squeezed out. So not really gonna watch that for anything, just gonna kind of let it trade out. But I am gonna keep half an eye on it because it is trading big volume, and it's been a pretty notable ticker for about a month and a half.
Which one?
NVOS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so gonna watch it. The one play that I'd like on that is a big 50-cent breakout. It is just 10 cents away, so it's something to keep an eye on for later this week or early next week. Ideally early next week, just because of the potential of that $0.50 whole dollar break, on top of everyone thinking it's fake news, which could be real news. And yeah, I mean, those are the three that I'm really watching.
Wonderful. Fantastic. I have a question for you on your ICU short. Just kind of how you manage overnight positions, because I'm sure other people wonder too. I think you had wrote that you were risking 70 cents. It never got there this morning. Was it just that you anticipated a gap down and the fact that it was kind of never spent any time this morning red, and it just started by bouncing and spiking, that you just didn't need that position anymore? You'd rather restart, take it fresh, because that idea, the goal was a gap down and fade, and it just wasn't doing that, and it wasn't necessarily the risk. The risk was more to protect you in case it gapped to like 70, and you didn't really need to wait and let it test 70 because it was just so against what you thought was going to happen.
Yeah, totally. I shorted it for the gap down. And the reason that I said 70 risk is because, exactly right, I wanted to make sure that I was sizing it appropriately. I didn't want to be like, oh, I'll just risk this, 60, 64, 65, and then end up having too much size. And then if it did, for whatever reason, be trading, around 75 cents, 72 cents, and I wasn't sized in for that move, I could take a, a major loss, and since it wasn't really gapping down, I'd rather just restart with a fresh position than, not start getting paid till 60 cents. That seems a little bit foolish to me, considering it's gapping up, and 60 so far is the low of the free market. That's not really where I want to be in from. So I'd rather just take that loss, take that, few $1,000 loss, and just restart into key resistance and have a fresh mindset going into open here.
Love it. All right, Huddy, you with us?
I'm with you.
Talk
It's
to
always-
the people.
It's always fun going last because
You have so
know,
many tickers to choose from. Everyone's probably no one probably talks about the ones you're interested in.
probably not. Well, that's the cool thing about the Clovers. We're all kind of cut from the same cloth, but we go about our trades a bit differently. But I'm watching pretty much all the same tickers as everyone else. I'll just kind of briefly outline my perspectives on all of them. First, I'll go off of NVOS. Personally, not all that interested until we start setting lower highs against the big daily level of 50 cents. The idea here would be, NVOS is an interesting situation, right? Like on one hand, they have a PR that says they got $1 billion in funding. On the other hand, like there's, some slander about, the person kind of running this PR and this deal. I don't know the exact specifics, but the word on the street is he's not a very good guy in terms of his history. So, on one hand, it's a scam. On one hand, it's $1 billion corporation. And there's a big short selling report out about it. So it really depends. Like, I'm never one that really believes in the news. Like I said it on Good Morning NASDAQ, $1 billion funding for a 30-cent ticker, big red flag. Like right off the bat, I didn't even need to do research. I just know that 30-cent tickers don't get $1 billion fundings. At the same time, a short report came out from Hindenburg in the low 30s. And, you have a tendency of a lot of people to want to chase short reports. And if a 30-cent ticker wants to go to 70 cents, like what?
They think it's free money.
Yeah. So, that's the group of people that I think can get squeezed. And that's what makes this interesting if it does start setting higher lows versus the big daily level, which is, I think, end all be all cut point. So that's what I'll be watching for. So nothing really today. Yeah, Femi oversold territory could definitely have a first green day bounce. Problem here for me is that there is an ATM now active, and it looks like they were selling it all day long. ATMs, they're like a faucet. You can turn them off, you can turn them back on, and they tend to do that. So, the ideal thing for an ATM is to sell into strength, into liquidity. So it's in their best interest to turn it off and let the stock spike so that they can turn it back on. It's not something I would try to bounce short because I think there's resistance levels, hidden supply at every single level now due to the ATM. But if it does bounce really nicely, I would be looking to join them in the selling if it bounces enough and there's enough liquidity. So something I'm watching for kind of a bounce short, if anything.
Nice.
FNGR, same idea as Femi. I'm short with Kyle as well in the 7s. And this is also oversold territory. But we don't really know exactly what the reason is for this oversold territory. On one hand, yeah, the ATM could have definitely sold off this big, and it could be a big portion of it. On the other hand, it could be shorts piling in due to the short report. On the other hand, it could be the pumpers unloading all of their shares that they've been accumulating for the past 2 months. So it's hard to say for sure. And I think today we're going to learn a lot about what caused that sell-off by the price action that we see ensue. Meaning, like, it's in their best interest to use all the ATM while this stock has liquidity and the price is high. The lower the price, the more shares they're going to sell, the more they're just going to destroy their stock. So it's in their best interest to use it as soon as possible. And it really just depends on, whether they did yesterday or not. I imagine if it is severely selling off again today, that means they didn't use too much yesterday and they have still a lot more to sell. That would be like mainly short sellers kind of brought it all the way down. Again, it's a big learning day for me on Finger as to what really caused this sell-off. And I'm only going to learn that by the price action, which is why I haven't covered yet, because I want to learn. Last but not least, ICU. I think we all talked about it enough. I think, 3 green days in a row, 100% up. I think odds favor a pullback to the mid 50s. Just, word of caution. Jack's absolutely right. Don't want to be short near 60 cents where the support is, because if that does hold and it does whatever trap everyone at 60 cents, like, it's a 60-cent ticker trading 150 million shares. Like, wild things can happen in this range. So that's kind of where my head's at.
That's awesome, Huddy. Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, my video was off. I didn't know that.
That's okay. That's okay. Wow, you guys really did smash the like button today. If you haven't hit the like button, can we go for triple digits? Set a record over here. Just need 26 of you. Someone brought up AVTX. I don't think any of us talked about it. There was some chatter yesterday in chat about it. Kind of feeling very TTOO-esque. Not sure if I'm ready to jump on board with that just yet, but it essentially would be in this stage right in here. Again, one of these super low price stocks, just trading massive volume, even on the days it's not all that interesting. AVTX has been kind of interesting. I haven't really traded it because this initial run was very difficult and weird, and you can see every day is so different with lots of wicks. But there's no denying that it's trading good volume. When it's strong, it tends to gap up. That's a good characteristic of a low price stock in terms of swinging. So if this were to continue bouncing up into this 22 area, this lower high of the breakout, set up there for a day or two or three, and then break out, then it would have, what I'm basically saying is we're kind of far away on this one from breaking like 30 cents, I think. But similar idea to like NVOS where, I'm not going to stop watching it until it's like dead, like under 10 cents. But it's not something I'm going to start clicking buttons on today. Let's see, any other questions? VACC. I've seen this ticker a lot. I haven't really looked into it. Ugh, what is that? First thing I would say is it's pretty much doing no volume, less than 200K shares the last few days. Did massive volume the first day. I never know what to do with these tickers because I don't understand the market mechanisms of like what it is. So if anyone understands it, let me know. It just seems like there was a market there on one day, and now it's just kind of slowly being manipulated higher. Like there's a perfect trend line here on like 0 shares of it just going straight up, higher lows each day. Even yesterday, you can't even see the volume on the chart, but it was a big green day. This is not something I'm generally looking to trade just because we all really want to focus where the eyes, the attention are, where the volume is, where the liquidity is, where the range is, and it's really hard to predict range on a stock that's doing no shares and no one's paying attention to it. These are ones I definitely struggled with in the beginning because it looks like it fits a pattern or it's setting up to fit a pattern, but it's hard to like draw actual conclusions from its price action because there's no volume. It's missing the important bits of criteria that we all use to start watching a stock. Anything any of you want to add before we head on out of here and into the Clover room? We got 95 likes. We have 95 likes. Here. We need 5 likes. I'm going to sign on and like it.
Tell your grandma.
Tell your grandma, tell your brother, tell your uncle.
Trying to break records here. I don't think I can trade, man. My Wi-Fi is shit.
Are you at home?
Yeah. I've disconnected and reconnected like 25 times in the last 30 minutes.
Time to take it to the phone. Phone trading.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, but we do want to thank you guys for being here. Me and Huddy have a great time doing Good Morning NASDAQ every single day. Oh my God, 104 likes. Record breaking.
Wow.
Who else has numbers like that? 104 to 139? Divide that up. Do some mathination because that's a good number.
Some mathination.
We love doing this stuff for you guys. We have fun every morning. It helps us go through all the tickers, getting a good understanding of what's going on in the market every day, making sure we're adding all the good stuff to our watch list. So we hope you enjoy it too. And we thank you for hitting the like button. Like I said in the beginning, if you want more of us, I don't know how you could possibly not want more of the 4 of us, but you can get access to us all day long, every day of the week. Over at clovertrade.io, we got 3-leaf and 4-leaf. You can get 7-day, $7 trial where you get in for 7 days, watch all the webinars, access to everything that's on the site currently. Just a click of a button and $1 a day. It's a cup of coffee a day. Really cheap gas station coffee a day. Cup of 1 day of Starbucks for the week. But if you're interested in that, either reach out to us in Discord, hit us up on socials, make sure you're following everywhere, or head on over to clovertrading.io. We thank you guys. We also have Wine Wednesday tonight, 7 p.m. Who will be there? Raise your hand.
I'll be there.
Lost Wi-Fi again, but
I'll be there. Huddy's muted, so he's either trying to hide from you guys to not look you in the eyes and tell you he's not going to be there. But at least 2 of us will be here. So if you have any
I'll be
other
there
questions,
tonight.
Kellogg will be here. Grab a glass of wine. Grab your favorite beverage, your favorite something else. And just sit back, wind down, relax with us. Last week was actually a really, really good discussion. So bring your questions. We will hopefully have some answers and hopefully have some good topics to talk about. So 7 p.m. Eastern tonight, right here on the Clover Trading YouTube channel. Thank you guys for being here. We're going to head on over to the Clover room. We will see you in like 10 hours.
See everyone.